We're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another podcast. A rare one, but we're going to talk about my experience before World Championships last week. Great time. Really enjoyed it. But before we get into that, always fake beer commercial. We're doing the Rangers Comic Pumpkin again. Let's have it in your area. Definitely check it out. So I got to go to the Warhammer World Championships. I won that tournament, Flying Monkey Con, so out in Wichita, Kansas. Five games by Corn. I decided to take something a little bit easier to play for Warhammer World. Not only because I was pretty sure that I wasn't going to win, I also didn't have a lot of practice time, so I got to play like 4 games between uh, my win and then going to Warhammer World. Uh, it was like one one dayer and then one practice. And we'll talk about the list in a second. But first, a little story, a little bit of story time. So uh, you might have heard of somebody forgetting their army or losing their army out at Warhammer World Championships. It was me. I was the one. So I was getting out of my Uber. I was super paranoid about forgetting my army because I never have to fly with an army, and I was really worried about whether or not I was going to like have it damaged. So I decided to take an army that was not too terrible, not too terribly difficult to play, not too terribly difficult to paint, and that was the Stormcast Annihilator build. So not a lot of big models, no big models, just a bunch of little dudes, and not even that many of them. So I put them in my carry-on bag, and then I had a big bag of the non-essentials. And God help me, I left my essential bag with the army and all of my tools in the Uber. Like 20 seconds after I get out of the Uber, I realize like, oh my God, my army. I give them a call, and they don't respond. I reach out to Uber, and Uber cannot get a hold of them. They're not responding to phone calls. It's all just going straight to voice. Super cool. I almost don't even get on the plane. It was pretty demoralizing. But I text into AOS Coach's Discord like, hey, do I even bother showing up? He pointed me to the world to a different Discord. I post there, and God loves Atlanta because those guys brought it together for me. The local AOS groups out there, they got together and they put together the list that I wrote and then had it for me that next morning. Like I got in at like 10, 11, and the game started. I think we had to be there ready to rock and roll like 8 or 9 o'clock, something like that. And they had one there for me. It wasn't completely painted. It was two proxies for the Vexlors, right? So we used the banner guys, but they provided that, so I was able to play. So I have offered several times, both in chat and in person, to like send beers or some sort of thanks to them, and I have not gotten any address. So if any of you guys are watching and you would like me to follow through, I'd love to pay you back for that incredible thing that you did for me. Just reach out, join our Discord, send me a message, and then I'll figure something out for you. So absolutely, thank you. Song of the Outlands. I hear your last game at FMC was so easy. You had to take a different army to Worlds just to feel again. Oh man, it was pretty bad. We did a stream on it. You can check it out. Poor Derek. It was just his perfect bad matchup because with everything. Yeah, anyway, check that one out. Just know, Derek, that I got it. I got what was coming to me here at Warhammer World Championships. And shout out to Charles Fox in chat. Go out there. Thanks, buddy. Um, so I came to Atlanta to lose. How was it? Proof that I was there at World Championships. There in the picture against my first round opponent, Mike Stewart, was an absolute gem. I think that was the takeaway for everything was that everybody was amazing. Everybody was super nice. The quality of play was a lot higher than I actually, kind of expected. I knew everyone was going to be good. right? Everybody was just going to be really, really good. They all had to get there through a 5-0 of some kind. Different sizes events, but still, like you had to win 5 games at a G to show up. So of course everyone was going to bring their game, bring really good game. And I think that they kind of sold it as every game is the fifth game of for the top table at a GT. My, my the cynicism in me said, "Sure thing, buddy. Okay, whatever you say." It was not. Every game was absolutely. I brought a list that was supposed to win or lose, like second turn. Either way, I didn't need to win. I just needed it to be fast, or maybe not fast, but not too difficult to play because I had to play 8 games, and normally I'm a spent match by game 5 of GT, whether I'm doing well or not. And having to play 8 games, I knew in my heart I was not going to have the gas to run something like Corn all the way through all of that. So shout out to everybody that was playing Realist. Dartron, I had a tournament this weekend taking Sons of Behemoth King Broad new subfaction. Hey, Chris Schelling did pretty good out here playing Broad. Um, it was cool to meet all the hello from the cruise boat. John Smith just lived his best life out there. Hey John. So I got to meet like Matt Mallow that I hear about on the Honest Wargamer. I got to meet Coach, who had heard of the channel and was very confused about whether or not we were a Care Bear on the logo. it was really focused on like what is the logo? It's a cat. Spoiler alert. Didn't know. Um, got to meet just people from all over the world, and it's interesting to see as a casual tourist of Warhammer World Championships what uh, like what all the different regions and how they differ in their play style. Like England, they're very. My experience was that they're very interested in playing like a good game of Warhammer. Uh, the people that I didn't know that I was gonna fall in love with was the people from Australia. They know how to play some exciting Warhammer, but they play it really well, right? Everyone's playing well, but uh, man, I just had a blast. Every single Australian, so awesome to play with. Loved it. Loved them all. Hey, we love Care Bears. We do love Care Bears. And this is apparently a Care Cat. So, anyway, uh, I got to play with some guy from rural France. It's just an amazing experience. The downside is that I didn't know anybody, right? Not like some person that goes around playing all over the United States. I just kind of rolled up and decided to play 8 games of Warhammer. A lot of these guys have known each other from AOS Worlds or from, I don't know, just doing the AOS circuit here in the United States. So the downside is that the off hours when I wasn't playing games, kind of boring. Uh, Maybe if you're like a social butterfly like Derek Center, you make fast friends with everybody, but wasn't not in my skill set. So the downside was that I did get to have dinner with somebody from England at some point. He was amazing. It was a fantastic experience. Just talking about the difference between the countries. Anyway, I could talk about that forever. You're not here to listen to me wax on about how interesting it is to play with people from other countries. Maybe you are, but we'll talk about that in the game. We can talk about my super lazy list. You can see the painted army. To wrap up my story, the Uber guy did drop off the army, the bag at DIA Denver International Airport, um, lost and found, which didn't help me since I was in Atlanta. But my wife went out, picked it up, like pulled out as much as possible, and then next stayed it to me so it was affordable. And I did get to play days 2 and 3 with the army you see pictured. And I did bring as a casual player the Annihilation poster, and that was my display board. I ooh, glad to hear that was afraid to ask. Yeah, yeah, it was absolutely. It all turned out all right. Everything turned out beautifully. All the time, I painted this army specifically for this event. I didn't have any painted annihilators. I had them because they were cheap back when Dominion first came out, but I had never bothered to paint them because they were too expensive and bad units. Now they're cheap bad units. So they're okay. We'll talk about it. I was running one Lord Imperator as my general with Arcane Tome. The Arcane Tome was because the list struggles for battle tactics because it isn't like a particularly complicated list. Just like lean into a lot of things. So I needed turn one battle tactic that wasn't having to drop everything turn one. Uh, and then 5 Night Vexillors, York standards. If you don't know what that does, pick a point once per battle, the hero phase, your hero phase. You pick a point 24 inches away, and everything within 6 inches. So an objective marker, 12-inch pipe plate, everything takes D3 more, and I just do that 5 times. Uh, then the rest of the list is 5 annihilators, shields, and then 2 annihilators with brand hammers. Everything you, and then Vanguard hunters for battle tactics. So again, I struggle with battle tactics. You're highly mobile until everything hits the battlefield from reserves, and then your 4-inch move like it's not great. And I was really feeling it in the tournament, how slow everything was. Because in my practice games, obviously, no offense to anybody out here, and I don't think anybody would take it. Uh, the level of play is not the same. So I did really well with this list here. And I knew that I was going to do less well in Worlds. And spoiler alert, I went 3-5. So I'm really happy with 3-5 with the quality of those players. Like that's I'm I'm very fortunate to have been able to do that. Yeah, what a meme list. Yeah, right. I just leaned into the fact that I wear a shirt that's Brand Alliance casual. I have a hype button, and I took that hype button to Warhammer World Championship, and I made people hit the hype button. I'll stare you down. Like I'll stop the game until you hit the hype button. Um, so anyway, that's it. It was in two battle regiments, so it was a 2 drop, and that did give me some play for priority. There was a lot of 1-2 drops out there. I was also in pod 2, by the way, which I feel like was one of the tougher pods. That's just me. Um, it had Gavin and Noah. It had Caleb Walters, who, oh my God, you want to talk about the nicest guy in the world? Caleb Walters. I had no expectation, but he plays the Kronspine Saint list, and you'd expect, somebody to like play mean Warhammer. Dude, it's just so wonderful. So shout out to Caleb Walters, just again, what a nice guy. So anyway, game one. Uh, this is you'll see here down the bottom uh, a bunch of mismatched stuff. That's the stuff that was provided to me by the Atlanta AOS crew, who again, cheers to you guys. And you can tell that I just came here to smooth my brain out, not think too hard, and just put all these guys in the garrison. So if you haven't been to a Warhammer uh, Games Workshop event, at least for Age of Sigmar, the boards are like the same everywhere, which I admit disappoints me personally. It's everything is the same board. They're not that particularly interesting. You have 3 things in the back, 3 things their deployment, and then 2 terrain pieces in the middle. And I played against Mike Stewart in this first game. The terrain, everything he had flew. The he was playing Shark Spam, which is one of the things I was worried about. But I'm also perhaps the best counter to what he was doing, and the only reason that I won. I was pretty rusty. I didn't sleep well that night because I was still wound up. I didn't know if I was going to show up with an army or not. They said I was going to, uh, and lo and behold, But I was probably not in the best headspace, and you'll see that as I like totally forget critical things. And Mike was a absolute gem, completely understanding. He's from England, by the way. I think he was on the England team Worlds AOS. Anyway, he was an amazing player, and it was a really strong list. Of those sharks flying, 14 move, 24-inch range, uh, 4 shots each, threes, threes, neg 1, 2, 3, and then everything explodes on 6s because they're all bloodthirsty shivers. Then he had Lotan, a caster, and turtle. So just brutal. I was dropping battle tactics. I should have won more handily, but he was just so good. And as you can see, it went down to the bottom 5. My list is supposed to just win or lose so fast. and I did not win or lose so fast in any. I did lose really fast in one game, but even then, we did play it out. So anyway, I do have some pictures on these. The pictures vary because as I played, I got more and more tired. Like theoretically having a easy playlist, I deployed everything the in the garrison because all the maps have the same garrison middle of your deployment zone. Maybe not your deployment zone, but the middle of the board, just like you do. And in most cases, I just put them in there because uh, I didn't want them to get shot, and if I could avoid taking first turn, I would like to, but I can't remember if it was a one drop. I don't think he was. I did give it to him, and you can see this is after I think our first turn. Uh, Maybe I went first. I can't remember what happened. It's already been so long. It should be on this thing. I went first. Yeah, I went first because I smoothed my brain out. Like, yeah, go. These are just the best players in the world. I grab some points. I turn it over to him, and he kind of clumps everything up around a ship that he summons. So you can see switching back and forth. He summoned a ship in the far back, and then clumped everything up. He was staying outside of the bubble of my 24 inches, so 30-inch bubble. I was not on the line. He was shooting at my teleporter unit. I did a bad job the entire tournament keeping them safe because again, no practice, so get what you pay for. Um, After that, I think that he put everything up. I think I won priority, and I then bomb everything in that middle. I drop a bunch of annihilators. I send them in. I kill a bunch of stuff. The downside is that there's uh, there's still a lot of sharks. It's hard to see, but there's a shark right behind his garrison. There's a shark on the far left. There's a shark on the far right, and the turtle. And that's a lot. That's a lot of damage into my stuff because he's very maneuverable and I'm not. And the melee profile of the sharks is pretty good, especially when flip the tide, so he's fighting first. Uh, we go down and he's kind of moved into the middle. He's killed a bunch of the stuff that I had kind of surrounded him with. See that shark that was behind his garrisons moved up, cleaned some stuff up, and then it's hard to tell, but the turtle's been taken off the base. It's behind that right most objective. So he was doing a good job cleaning stuff up. Everybody was doing a really good job of out deploying my list because it does telegraph what it's going to do from like 3 states away. And no shocker, he was a great player, deployed really well. Uh, Obscurination. I can't read that. In lines of communication, twist as player 2 picks the phase and player 1 gets penalized. 3 plus. I think it's a 5 up. So what happens is whenever you spend a command point in the like the phase itself, you the person who went first has to roll a dice in that phase for each command point, and on a 5 up, the command point is lost. The and you can no, excuse me, it's not as lost. You have to pay a second one in order to actually do it. So on a 5 up, pay 2 command points to do a command. Um, I think that I went first, then he won prio, and then I won prio. I think I gave him prio, and then I won prio. So all the prio. Oh, yeah, that's what I won all the prios. It really it all kind of went against Mike. Um, he probably could have wiped the floor with me, being as fast and as good at Warhammer as he was, but his dice weren't cooperating, and I won all the prios. So good. I have someone starting Idoneth Deepkin army who is interested in shark lists. What did your opponent do with them that made them so effective? So what's effective about them is that they're super fast. They have 24-inch range, so they're blasting you from turn one, outside of probably your effective threat range. And they think they recently updated the wording on the bloodthirsty shivers so that everything, both shooting and any shark that's in a bloodthirsty shiver, gets exploding sixes on hits and wounds, and that is mathematically +1 to hit. And why that's important is because you're already hitting on threes, so mathematically now you're hitting on twos and threes, and that is a rare case where you can stack a +1 to hit to become effectively a true 1-up to hit. Sorry, I think my connection dropped there on my headset. Um, oh, Ian, that's fine. Hey, 3 and 5. I'm super happy with 3 and 5. I was expecting as many as 0 wins. Um, so sorry about that. You shouldn't want to share secrets. So anyway, what's so good about them is just that they're very efficient. Their weakness is that you do have a bunch of the same unit. So kind of like what I was running, where my weakness is that I'm just running a one-trick pony. Those sharks, if you have big AoE damage, so something like Croak can be tough if properly screened and protected, because Croak can teleport out and just dump mortal wounds everywhere. And that's what this hates. It's AoE mortal wounds, and that's all I do. AoE mortal wounds, right? So anyway, those are the like that's what makes it so good. The weak That's its weakness. I was playing the strongest possible counter to this. Um, we get down to the bottom. I won all the prios, and that let me kind of clean everything up. I did win by 2 points. I think what's important to note here is I forgot in turn 3 to 4 that you have to have everything drop. And you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, right? This is where I set them after our conversation. I was going to bring them down, and Mike cannily pointed out, "Oh no, they're gone." He was kind enough to say, "Oh well, maybe you put them down in the corner, and that's kind of why you see them down there." But like, they weren't actually in the game. I wasn't going to play with that. They didn't get used for battle tactics. I just set them there and know, didn't continue the conversation because he was being super nice and he did not need to be that. So if Mike does catch this, no thanks, buddy. You're a gem. Your dice were against you. Sorry. So anyway, I got a win, which put me up into the best players bracket, which is not where I belong. So game two, I'm playing against. Let me see if I can get his name right. Oscalad. So Oscalad is from rural France, so just outside of like big city, and uh, it was hard communicating. Um, we did our best, right? I worked with them. I made sure that we were all as clear as possible. We did have a couple of miscommunications, but we were able to resolve that. Everybody was super cool. Everyone was really good about establishing at the beginning, hey, we're going to play by intent, and we're going to try and pre-measure and all this stuff. Um, I've heard a lot of things there and outside that playing with French players, they're a little bit like mean or aggressive or something like that. My experience is that it's just a different way of communication, and I think that they are a little bit abrupt in how they speak, but they're not like they're not being mean, just the way it comes out. And every time that I heard that, I'd stop and think, is it possible that this person came all the way from France to be rude to me, or is this just a language thing? And it was always just a language. He went 5-0 the first day, and I think, or maybe 4-1. He was definitely in the top eight. He didn't go. He lost both of his games in the top eight, but obviously he's very good. Very good player. For the record, the miscommunications for Thomas is English, not his opponents. True. I am from Oklahoma. We ain't real smart. We don't talk real good. We don't got real good schools. So, um, yeah, it was fantastic. All the opponents. He was the only person that I think that had the least good English. But um, anyway, everybody that I talked to, obviously he was able to get games in. It was very clear with everything he was doing. Here's a great example of how you uh, beat what my list does. So I believe I put everything on the line. I forgot to take a picture, right? I'm dumb. He had pigs. You can see those two pigs out there in the middle of the board. He had 2 units of 5 pigs, and I used my guys to blow those things up. It was very clear that everything else was outside of 30, and it was. And so I just dropped everything very very quickly. I think top of one. I blew up 2 units of pigs. I cleared out all of his screens, and then see here, and you can see this was I think at the end of my turn. where I just cleared out a bunch of stuff, and it just goes to show how like weak my list staying power is. Like I cleared off a bunch of stuff. You can see there's a what is that? The three-man unit of like two-handed Grand Slammers. I think end up cleaning up that unit of brutes, but the unit on the left there, that big unit, just plagues me. And it's been a long time since I played against Big Wall because he was playing a Big Wall. This was gosh, what was this map? Can't even remember. I wish it said in this little thing here. Oh, Frigid Zephyr. The important thing to note with Frigid Zephyr is that it stops line of sight to models, not to points on the battlefield. So I was able to still drop all my stuff because I was just picking the battlefield. So if you're like, oh my god, this casual cheated. No, I didn't cheat. I used the rules to my advantage. Obviously, that wasn't enough because he won 25 to my 18. So let's see here. What else do we have in pictures? That Mall Crusher just cleans me up. Um, Super fast. He's got a lot of Ren. You can see maybe I cleaned up the unit at the top on the side, and then the unit that I almost had killed ends up making it across the board, scoring a bunch of points. And that's pretty much the story of what's happening. Is that I drop all my guys, I do all the damage, and then I fail to lift enough of this army, which has to be like a whole lot in order for me to hold out. I think what I was saying earlier was that I don't play against Big Wall a lot, and it's just easy for me to forget about the staring from the Wargog. The Wargog probably was the deciding point on this because it just kept picking up my 9 wound units. 2 up save, 9 wounds, just cuts right through them. And hey, that's it's my fault for not paying attention to where I'm charging with my extremely vulnerable guys. So you can see the Maw Crusher's just like bouncing all over the board, cleaning up all my guys, and he holds points. He's got a spellcaster that was teleporting around, stealing the points from me. And the moral of the story is that uh, Big Wall is really strong. Oh, he also had really good battle tactics, so he was not having to like stretch like I was, trying to make sure that I was getting points for just little things like surround and destroy, be able to just teleport, or uh, the big wall, the Iron Jaws one, have two Iron Jaws units within 3 of the middle. Just things that he already wants to do, he's doing, and the power of that is on display. So I'm at this point I am 1-1. Still probably too high. Okay, so you can see I've got my actual army. It came in at 7:50. It arrived at my hotel. So I ran from I ran from the venue to my hotel and back again in time to get here and start the match. I had to cut open the box of my minis to put them down on the table. The dude stared right into Shuddercar's soul at KC. Yeah, he's uh he's got bedroom eyes that you just can't ignore. So anyway, this is my first game with an Australian player. Uh, First game ever, and the first game of the tournament of the two. And I think it was Mitch Briggs. Anyway, Mitch was fantastic. I had my hype button at this point. I didn't have my hype button because it was in my essentials bag. Uh, and he was loving the hype button. Both those guys just loved the hype button. So it's easy, obviously, for me to love playing with people that really enjoy that. So this is our initial deployment. As promised, smoothed out my brain, just put everything in the garrison, and then I took first. So when I dropped, he was not as diligent about keeping the war chanters out of the blast zone, and I drop like everything in the middle. It picks up a bunch of the pigs, picks up both the war chanters, which is huge, and then I drop, I think, most of my army in the middle of the board and fail every single one of my 9-inch or 6-inch rerollable charges. You can't get mad about it. You play a meme list like this, you live and die by the memes, and part of the meme is dying by the meme, right? So I probably would have won this match if I had had any luck with my charges. In this case, I think we said I failed 20 rerollable charges throughout the match, something like that. It was truly impressive because my banners give rerollable charges, and I just kept failing. I just didn't want it hard enough. I wanted Australia to go the way because he was such an amazing, fun person to play with. Uh, so anyway, I came out flapping in the wind. That really opened it up for him. And then here he is. Here's a picture of the man, the legend. Uh, he just kind of ran around me, right? He was smart and did not charge that gigantic castle of 2-up saves because he was struggling the whole game with lifting these guys because everything was one damage. You're used to your Iron Jaws guys coming in with 2 damage attacks. Everything was one. And you can see the hype button in the middle of the board. It was so loud there that Mitch, being the man of culture that he was, just flipped it upside down so that the speaker is facing, so that we could slam the hype button upside down and hear it better. So you can see that I'm still picking up pigs. I'm doing work. The 22 to 28, I think, like doesn't show how close it was. It really came down to, I think, priority or something like that in 3 to 4. Because if I could get like a really solid double, maybe I pull it back. I kept getting the Maw Crusher down low, but never really killing it. So the Maw Crushers in both games were really important in keeping me pinned. He just couldn't stop getting his uh, heroic recovery, so he just kept healing the heck out of it. Which, hey, that's what you do. Um, Here's where we end up. All like the game was super bloody, but ultimately, I had to make some choices to like put my units out of position in order to clean up his. His are really fast. If I didn't drop units, then and charge them at the edge of the board, what am I going to do? They're going to outmaneuver me. So I also use that as an opportunity to get surrounded and destroy. There's a lot of like me having to make weird decisions about unit placement in order to get battle tactics. But it does end, I think, on 4 or 5. Maybe I didn't enter it in all the way, but anyway, it was a great game, and he was a great opponent. And I end the day, or I'm not ending the day. This is the second match of 3. I'm on 1 and 2, and only at excuse me, the World Championships of Warhammer are you at a 1 and 2 get paired into Noah, Noah of Elavio fame. I forgot to take pictures the entire time. Obviously, I was pretty spent, so apologies. He was playing Blades of Corn. He was playing Immortalist. We talked about it. It was not like my favorite Blades of Corn list, and I think that he didn't do amazing at the tournament. He did like 3-5 or a 4-4, and it was like a 30 block of warriors, blood warriors, and just kind of like playing around with delivering that, retreating it out, rallying it. Um, but it's all really dependent on your blood secretor living. What happened was I blasted everything in the middle. Like he put Scarbrand right on the front. So I had to get like I couldn't give it to him because he was just going to charge and kill all of my Night Vexlors, and then I have to have those Vexlors to lift up the initial screen. Like they're not usually just killing the army. They're usually picking up like screen 1 and screen 2, so that then my Annihilators charge in. And so that's kind of what they did. They killed a bunch of stuff around Scarbrand, put like 8 wounds on Scarbrand, 9 wounds on Scarbrand, and then I drop in a bunch of stuff and then charge Scarbrand and kill him. So killed Scarbrand, but then like Noah is an incredibly good player. No shocker there. He's on the U.S. Worlds team, and he outplayed me like just flat out, just outplayed. Was piling in on places that I forgot, which was preventing me from taking objectives because I wasn't paying attention to that. And like that's why I scored 0. I wasn't trying to score 0. I was just trying to score low, but then I know didn't didn't play well. And he took objectives from me or prevented me from taking objectives. and just it was still pretty close, 17-21. I feel like I did pretty good, but ultimately his skill at the game was better than my meme. So I end the first half of the tournament on a 2 and a 3, which is I feel pretty good. World Championships of Warhammer. This is when that then cuts over to the top 8, and then everybody else in the world's bracket, where you're no longer in your group and you're just playing against everybody. So game 5. Uh, game 4. I just like that was the middle of the gosh. No, it was the middle of the day. Game 5 was against Sylvaneth. So I'm 2-2 at that point. I'm playing against Alariel and Bo Kurnoff. Like that's all it is. Just Alariel and Bo Kurnoff. This guy was from Scotland. Um, Apparently he plays against my list all the time, and that's the saddest thing I've ever heard because my list cannot be fun to play. It's not. I would never play it casually here because it doesn't like produce the sorts of games that I'm looking for outside of a tournament. And it sounds like he has to play it all the time. And he put everything in the corner. I think I give him the turn. No, I went first. He went first, and he kept priority all the way till the end. I made him go. He moved up, kind of took some pot shots. I then dropped a bunch of mortal wounds all over his stuff, and then charged in and lifted a bunch of things. In the same, I've only got a few pictures here. In the same vein as the Maw Crushes, my list just doesn't pick up those big pieces well when they are surrounded by screens, because they just hit back and lift my units. So I just kind of ignored Alariel. We're playing the Meltwater one. You can see the tokens on the board indicating who has what for how many turns, and so he's green, I'm blue. The red tokens on top mean that they can no longer control the points. So like my heroes are all up in that forest. When I drop the bombs, obviously I did so after I moved people out so that I could have visibility. Um, the There's really not a lot to say. I just kind of chased his units around. I dropped everything in the corner, kind of blew up all the bows. The bows were taking pot shots the whole time, and Ilariel was running around trying to kill everything as fast as possible. And ultimately, she was not able to kill things as fast as possible. So it was a good opponent. You could tell that he'd played against it a lot. That my list was pretty good into what he was doing, particularly with deployment zones. So here we are. This is the cutover into the from the top 8 into the rest of the world. 6, 7, and 8. I'm spent by this point, so I didn't take any pictures. Apologies. But I will go through the games. My first game was against the baddies, the new Caradron Overlord Regiment, Army of Renown. And what ended up happening is I just kept him 30 inches away, and he kept having to make choices about whether or not to get in and uh, and take the damage. It was every step is forward, by the way, so that's 4 objectives. And he was having to get in to take objectives and score points. And I was just sitting on my bombs. And eventually, he came out. I dropped everything down, killed a bunch of stuff. I denied his grand strategy by killing all the boats, which was done by the Vanguard Raptor. No, not Raptor. Vanguard 100. And it was a pretty close game. But 25-20, I was a good counter to what he was doing because I could just shoot off his boats, and then he's just got a bunch of 4-inch moved dwarves that I can drop bombs on, pick him up with mortal wound. So it was still a tight game. It was actually looking like he was going to win initially because for the first, I think, three battle rounds, he got every single 4-up shoot twice, both in the shooting phase and in the Unleash Hell, and it was it was brutal. Um, but all the dice turned around, and in the second half, stopped rolling those 4-ups. And then that gave me the survivability I needed to just kind of kill his stuff. So that at that point I'm 3-3, and then I lose my next 2 games. The first one was against my perfect counter, maybe not my perfect counter. It was a very strong counter. which is just the Warsong bomb from Sylvaneth. They do kind of what I do, but they get to add 18 inches to the range every turn. So he deploys outside of 30, uh, and then what do I do? I don't really drop any of my stuff because he can hit strike and fade. So I give it to him in the hopes that he fails his charge. Because if he fails his charges, then I can pick up a bunch of his pieces, and that kind of turns the game in my favor. He didn't fail his charges. Killed a bunch of my heroes top of one with the Warsong bomb and the Spirit of Durthu coming in and picking stuff up. And ultimately, his maneuverability just really punishes my 4-inch move. So I was not able to score points very well. I wasn't able to get battle tactics very well, and that like you see that I didn't fill out my stuff because I wasn't scoring points. It was just taking everything from me. So hey, again, live and die by the meme, right? The last game was against the Glockken, which is another tough one. I think if I had had practice, I would have done better into this. I just didn't know off the top of my head how I play against the counter charge that happens in movement, which is important because like I'm trying to drop people 9 and 6 away and then deal mortal wounds on the charge. If I can't take advantage of that, like excuse me, 6, 7 inch deep strike, if I can't take advantage of that 7 inch strike, like it really hurts my reliability. And you're just rolling 4 rollable charges. That's like less than 47%. That's right. And he was countercharging me and just kind of running me around. I did much better, obviously, 22-28, but ultimately he took it away. And also Australian. Also love the hype button. Also amazing. So uh, Blast really appreciated the games from everybody. So that's how I ended up 3-5. Not a lot to chat about there. What's my final thoughts? Love Australians. Like super a whole lot. I wish more Australians lived in Colorado. All my games with them were the sort of fun casual stuff that I'd expect to have on my stream, except they were also playing really good Warhammer. So the other thing was just that, like, again, shout out to everybody in Georgia that helped bring the army thing together for me on that first day. I literally couldn't have played without you. So again, reach out to me. I would love to be able to repay you somehow, either with my favorite beers or something else if you guys don't drink. And so anyway, that's it. It was a blast. If I'm lucky, I'll get to try this again next year. Maybe I will do some practice game and bring plus team list and really test my metal. But uh, anyway, I look forward to seeing everybody again on Friday. We're going to be doing Skaven versus Cities. I'm going to be making motorboat noses with Doom wheels, whilst Shannon plays Cities of Sigmar as a true professional. I think he's going to be in armor, so please drop by and check out his costume. So, anyway, thanks for joining. We'll check you guys sometime soon.